Hey everyone, it's Andrew from Theme Park Forge. Today, we're ranking the absolute worst theme parks to the best of the best. We'll be using that classic ranking system chart where S tier is awesome and F tier is totally lame. Here we go. Now let's say you want a prize. It's a 3-day vacation to a destination vacation. But there's a catch. Your boss gets to decide the vacation, and it's Chuck E. Cheese. Well, I actually have a lot of fond memories of going to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid. It belongs firmly in F tier. It still makes the list because it is still themed, it has an arcade, it has rides, sort of, and most of all, it has animatronics. But it is tiny in scope and is lacking in rides and themed environments, so it still belongs firmly in F tier. Chuck E. Cheese is considered a family fun center. Places like that are all over the world under different names. What kind of family fun center do you have in your hometown? Next on our list is trampoline parks. They function like an amusement park in that they are full of visceral thrills and neck-breaking fun, but they are rarely themed and are pretty small potatoes compared to others on this list. Definitely F tier. Miniature golf is a lot of fun. Windmills and castles are definitely themed entertainment. Unless your golf course was installed by the hotel night manager. Lots of fun, but F tier. I also put go-karts and arcades in F tier because while they are super sick, and I actually worked at a go-kart track and an arcade before, they require minimum investment and are easy to start up. Meanwhile, in D tier, we have traveling carnivals, next-level go-karts / family fun centers, simple theme parks, and mountain coasters. Each of these deserve a spot in D tier because they are a little more involved than F tier. They each have physical rides that have to be accounted for, and that can be a much larger investment. However, parks in this category either have few rides, rides made for preschool children, or have rides that are not bolted into the ground and tend to be transported in on a big rig. I submit to you that these are D tier attractions. Meanwhile, in C tier, things get to be a little more exciting and get to pick up in both scale and quality. These are your local amusement parks and super regional parks such as Coney Island depicted here. It's a lot more fun with a lot more things built into the ground and a lot more excitement. Michigan's Adventure is another example of this. As you can see from the map, there's a lot more built-in rides that look a lot more thrilling. Multiple roller coasters, plus they have a water feature such as this lake in the center of the park, which is often very expensive to build, and they were able to pay for nice IP such as the Peanut character Snoopy. Perhaps the most striking C-tier attraction is Coasters and Castles down here in Phoenix, Arizona. I went there a few years ago, and it is a really fun park, but there's very few attractions. A couple of big roller coasters, and most of the park is taken up by a miniature golf course, which is always fun, but a lot smaller investment than, say, a huge coaster, such as some of these coasters that you can see in the pictures. But it is still an awesome park. C-tier parks have real rides and real theming, but I think they're still in C compared to other parks on this list. So, C-tier doesn't make that bad of a vacation, but when we see the others on this list, we get up into B tier and onwards, we're going to get a lot more fun stuff to go, do, and see. The key, of course, is land. Much of these other things on this list are simply not that big, but when it comes to land and it comes to an all-day experience, you need some acreage to really show off your park and your attractions. That is why when you get to C tier, everything jumps in size. This graphic shows the relative size of different parks and acreage, Islands of Adventure being the smallest. You can really see the difference when compared to other parks in lower tiers. Size sometimes doesn't matter, however, seeing that Coney Island, while being a regional park, still packs a punch with its size. That small acreage orange circle is Castles and Coasters in Phoenix, Arizona. The two pink dots are local go-kart tracks and fun centers, seeing that the average family fun center sits on less than 2 acres and the average go-kart track sits on less than 5. But size isn't everything. Some S-tier parks are half the size but are much higher in quality. But then again, size and quality can go hand in hand. And now we get into A tier. And what the heck, let's throw an S tier in there for comparison right now. In these two tiers, we have the super regional parks, global brands that people will go get on a plane and leave their country to visit. But what qualifies these parks to be in these two tiers? Aren't the parks in B and C tier bigger? Don't they have more thrilling rides and bigger roller coasters? That's true, but these parks are here on S tier and A tier because of one thing.
Yeah? What's the difference?
It really comes down to theme. No more cemented pads holding 30,000 tons of steel just sitting out there behind a fence. Everything is carefully created to present an artistic vision. From the grandiose centerpiece of the park to even the drinking fountain, everything tells a story. Take this queue line from Indiana Jones. Everything makes you feel like you are actually there. They could have just put a whole bunch of lines up and down the entire park. You just stayed in the line until you got to the ride. But no, this actually immerses you in the park. The Jurassic World ride at Universal Orlando does the exact same thing. But then that begs the question, what is the true difference between A tier and S tier? How come one is so great and the other ones aren't as great? When I was making this video, I found out that separating those two is extremely difficult. It's hard to quantify exactly what the difference would be between S tier and A tier. It's so unquantifiable because there's a point where something goes from a technical 10 out of 10 to being true art. It enters a spiritual realm where perfection cannot be measured, only felt. It's spiritual and personal. It's where imagination is unlocked and the potential of the universe is revealed. It's where creativity is felt more than judged. Perhaps I am putting Walt Disney's original park on a pedestal, but in a lot of ways, the quaintness of the park and the sincerity of the creation transcends other parks. That is what makes it S tier. I visited Disneyland for the first time as a kid. It blew my mind that such a place could exist. Animatronics that brought characters to life, a castle as real as my imagination, a world of make-believe made reality. It opened my eyes to endless creative possibilities and got me dreaming about what kind of world I could possibly build. I think what really makes Disneyland S tier is it wasn't made by a company or a committee. It was made by one man who had a dream and made the best thing he possibly could with his life. Ultimately, all these parks are dreams, and all are amazing. They all require that spark of human ingenuity and creative drive. So I ask you, what dreams do you have, and are you willing to pay the price to make them a reality? If you think that you are too small to chase such a big dream, I'll close with this quote by Walt Disney.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing that was all started by a mouse.